one of our most favorite topics on this podcast is pointing and laughing at Dabo Swinney and Clemson. There's no question about it. Anytime that we have an opportunity to laugh at them losing, and more importantly, laugh at his reactions to losing, we're going to take advantage of that. So here's to you, Dabo. It's been a rough season for Clemson. They opened up the season losing and quitting, like I've said before, against Duke. They lost to Florida State. There was another team that they lost to, right? It was three losses.
4.
4?
They lost.
They're on
They 4. Miami,
Oh.
NC State, Florida State, and Duke.
Ooh. Okay, so now we're talking. So it's been 4 losses for Clemson. This is uncharted territory.
And North Carolina on deck.
So it's uncharted territory for Dabo at this point of what has been a program that's largely dominated the ACC for the better part of a decade. So he was on his coaching show. A lot of college coaches have their their little recap shows and, you know, that little table side chat going into games. Now, for some odd reason, Clemson allows their fans to call in and speak to the coach.
Incredibly foolish. Incredibly
Other
foolish.
programs don't do this.
No.
Other
Serious
more intelligent
programs do not. No.
Correct. Because what eventually happened was a passionate fan by the name of Tyler. I want to say his name. I mean, it's Tyler from Spartansville or something to that extent. He goes in on Dabo, questioning him, and most importantly, bringing up the fact that Dabo is currently making $11.5 million a year. Basically saying, yo, you're making all this money. What's going on? Why do we suck? Dabo responds. He cuts one of the best promos I've ever seen a college coach cut, being a wrestling fan.
Next to Mike Gundy.
Man, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I have a clip. It was like a 5-minute rant, basically telling this dude, hey, piss off. Y'all are spoiled fans, which is true. And it is what it is, which is a little suspect. We're going to definitely talk about it. But I cut a little clip of his rant, so let's check it out.
I've listened to enough of you, Tyler. Listen, you can have all your opinions that you want. All right, I don't know how old you are. Don't really care. All right, but let me tell you something. We won 11 games last year, and you're part of the problem. To be honest with you, because that is part of the problem. It's people like you that do that. All you do is the appreciation. The expectation is greater than the appreciation. And that's the problem. Listen, man, you can have your opinion all you want, and you can apply for the job, and good luck to you. All right? I used to tell people all the time, they'd say, what's the difference in Clemson? Let me tell you. At some places, there's an expectation, but at Clemson, there's an appreciation. And what's happened at Clemson is we've won so much that even when it used to be the fun's in the winning, now even when you win, people like you complain and criticize the coaches and question everything. People like you, I'm sure you've never made any bad decisions. I'm sure you've lived a perfect life. I'm sure you've led a bunch of people. I'm sure you do your job in front. So to answer your question, I started as the lowest paid coach in this freaking business. All right? And I'm where I am because I've worked my ass off every single day. And I ain't going to let some smart-ass kid get on this phone and create this stuff. So if you got a problem with that, I don't care. All right? I work for the board of trustees, the president, and the AD. And if they're tired of me leading this program, all they got to do is let me know. I'll go somewhere else.
There you have it. That was Dabo's response to Tyler. I should have put some gunshots in the background. Or maybe Ether's beat playing. I don't know. But,
Oh, yeah, that would have been good.
yeah, Dabo basically got his shit off. So, Jada, I'm going to go to you first, man. What are your thoughts on Dabo's response?
All right, so I can't stand Dabo. I'm gonna just go ahead and put it out there, and not as a man. I'm just obviously they are approaching. There's Florida, there's Miami, Clemson is starting to reach that for me. So I don't like Jimbo Fisher. Dabo is right next to him. So
Mm.
anytime that Dabo loses, it does something to my heart. But like I'm sitting here listening to this, and I'm like, bro, he mentioned stuff that ain't like he doesn't know. You telling the dude to apply for the job, knowing he not gonna get it.
Right.
Like the appreciation over expectation, it really reminded me of like all of us are married, right?
Yep.
Like that's like your wife brings something to you, and you like, but what I did 5 years ago, you weren't complaining about it then. So why are you complaining about it? Like she just talk about you ain't took out the trash the last 2 days, right? Like why are you sitting here getting so? A lot of people say he was cooking. It's because he's feeling the heat. He's in the pot. He's it's getting to him, and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I'm gonna bring up my team that lost to Florida State hurt him more than the loss to Duke because he realized that run is about to be over.
Mm.
So
I feel that.
he's feeling it, man. But last thing I'll say, the guy mentioned that he was a man of faith, that Dabo was a man of faith, and at the end of the rant, he says, "I'm a man of faith." But you talking prideful, you talking about where you came from and where you are now. You cursing the dude out, like bro,
Which
the
one is
dude
it?
brought up, yeah, like, and don't get me wrong, we all make
Yeah.
mistakes, but he's calling you out, and you pretty much just solidified and cemented what he's talking about. Where your
I
wins
feel
at,
that.
Dabo?
I feel that. Dallas, man, what are your thoughts? I know you got some good ones.
See, I'm not a Dabo fan at all, but I do respect what he's done at Clemson. Clemson
Definitely.
was nothing. I mean, they were Wake Forest. They were nothing. He gets there out of nowhere and he turns this thing. He builds a powerhouse. And he's right. They did win 11 games last year. And what he said to Tyler to me is spot on. Like Tyler has no idea what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, if it were for Dabo Swinney, you'd be happy about making a bowl every year, right? And Dabo's hearing all this, he's just sick of it. At first, I thought, hey, that's not helping, man. I get it, I feel you, but that's not helping. But one thing it did do, all the media, everybody's talking about this rant and this exchange. Nobody's talking about X's and O's. Nobody's talking about Klubnik not throwing the ball down the field. Nobody's talking about big plays getting made, the team breaking down. Well, I think they've had two or three overtime losses in recent weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe he helped the team a little bit by getting them talking about this drama and getting the focus off some of the players that X's and O's.
That makes sense. So you're saying that he put himself out there as more of a shield, so the rest of the team doesn't really have to
Well,
feel that kind of.
not just the team, I mean him too, because there was a lot of talk going on about who's really calling this offense. Is it Garrett Riley or is it Dabo Swinney? Because some of
This
his
is true.
comments he made about it being the Clemson offense. Um, and then Garrett was explosive at TCU, and Clemson is anything but explosive right now. So there's been a lot of questions on what's really going on, who's calling the plays. But now we're just talking about some idiot in Spartanburg that called into a radio show.
That's a fact. That's a fact. My question to both of you guys, both of your teams are in the ACC. And like I said before, Dabo and Clemson largely dominated the ACC the past decade plus. And to that, we definitely have to tip our hat and show respect. But the big question, I'll go to you, Dallas, first, is Clemson's reign of terror. I'm going to call it a reign of terror.
It has been.
As, is their reign of terror over?
No. I do not think so. I think they
Okay.
got a down year. I do think he's going to adjust. You'll see some portal guys, I think, and some other adjustments. Um, I think part of their problem is their system and their quarterback sometimes don't seem to be a match.
Mm-hmm.
But they've got dudes, man. They've got really good players. They just don't have that explosive playmaker element and a quarterback that they trust to push the ball downfield or playmakers to make plays downfield consistently.
Yep.
So I think they'll adjust. They've got a ton of resources, man. They got a ton of money and an administration that has a desire to be successful at football. So they'll do what it takes. And if the day comes they think that is pull Dabo out and put somebody else in, they will. But in the ACC, I mean, Florida State's having a phenomenal year. A lot of old players on that team that are going to be moving on. Players are going to get drafted. What's coming behind them, I don't know. Norvell's gonna have to hit the portal hard again. He's shown he can, and he can be
Yep.
successful there, but he's gonna have to do it, and he's gonna have to get what he needs. But I do think Clemson's gonna be in that market this year with plenty of resources to do so. So it could get interesting.
Okay.
And I think they'll bounce back. I do. I really do. I think that they're gonna be just fine.
I feel that. Jada, your thoughts?
The reign of terror, the dominance, the having it in the stranglehold is done.
It's
And
over
I'm gonna
with.
tell you, I'm gonna tell you why. And obviously I'm gonna bring up my team. What Norvell has done, transfer portal, the king of the transfer portal. Until Dion has got there, and we know what Dion is done and is gonna do. Um, but he's allowed. I'm a basketball fan. He's done what the U.S. did in 2000 when they went to the Olympics in '92 with the Dream Team, in '96 with Shaq and him, and they felt like, oh, we got it, and the
Mm-hmm.
world caught up. And what they didn't do is Clemson, by not hitting the transfer portal, by not making sure that they had the right people behind Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence, who I'm appreciative of because he's with my Jaguars.
Right.
That though he hasn't had that star to continue to say, hey, even if we don't have it in certain positions, we still got this guy who will make big plays, who will do that. And he's allowed Florida State, Norvell, to catch up with him. And so now I'm not saying that they won't win the ACC again. I'm not sitting here saying that they won't be in a championship picture. But now you got to deal with Florida State. We all waiting for Miami to be back to Miami, right? The ACC is no longer just a pushover. Even though we kind of disappointed with UNC and all that. So now we got to see what Louisville is doing. Can those teams sustain it? I don't know, but I do know Florida State. If I'm taking off my homer hat, Florida State is back in regards to being in that picture. And so that dominance is done. And
Yeah.
if you do get past that, now are you ready for the Georgias? Are you ready for, even though they're having a quote unquote down year, they're still Bama, right? Are you ready for these other teams? I don't see that happening. And so I think it's done. I think he's hard headed and prideful. So I'm not sure he's gonna hit that transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he talked about buying stock into Clemson, well, you got to make sure that you putting something out there that people to buy. And so
Mm.
I just don't know if that pride and that ego, the way that he answered Tyler showed there's a lot of pride and ego there. And we'll see, but it's done.
If you haven't already, look us up on socials at Suplex Dinner Club. That's the home of 2 podcast projects that I work on. Mondays, Fridays, we talk college football on Dogs versus All Y'all. We don't just talk about Georgia football, we talk about all things college football, hence All Y'all. And on Wednesdays, you know the vibes, Life and Times Pod, which is short for the Life and Times of a Restaurant Lifer podcast, where I have conversations with some cool and interesting people that I've met through my years in the hospitality industry. Let me know down below, what team are you representing? The Suplex Dinner Club family is growing, and I want to know more about you guys.